Welcome back to the Budget Gamer channel, where you can find reviews on the latest or at least the cheapest indie games out there. Today I sat down with a copy of Xenon Valkyrie Plus for the Nintendo Switch, and it really showed me the difference between a game and a game with an active developer. If you have heard of Xenon Valkyrie, maybe from its release on the PS Vita back in January of 2018 or even earlier on Steam, you're probably aware of its overarching story that some malevolent darkness has taken over a nearby moon, and unless you do something about it, it'll wreak havoc on your future and the future of all mankind and robots on your home world. But you are probably also aware of some minor bugs and glitches that really needed some attention, and this is where I'd like to say that Xenon Valkyrie Plus really does earn that plus. As a side-scrolling roguelike hack and slash, the game is exciting and pretty addictive. And this is only partially due to the initial character selection and RPG elements that have been worked into the game. Initially starting the game, you have the option of picking between 1 and 3 characters with different stat balances and different special abilities. Each one will be equipped with a sword and a pistol and one special ability that's unique for each of the 3 of them. And though a super jump could get you to more areas of the level more quickly, and a shield would definitely be an advantage in a boss fight, I found the timed explosives to be the only way to get to certain hidden enemies. As the levels in Xenon Valkyrie Plus are procedurally generated, there's always going to be a path down to the teleporter at the end of the level, but sometimes walls will be generated or little caverns where enemies spawn that you can't get to unless you can break down those walls. And considering the leveling and power-up abilities with that RPG element that's been thrown in, defeating every single enemy possible is going to be a massive advantage through every single playthrough. At the end of each level, there's a rest area with a small Zelda-like shopette where you can buy one of 3 randomly generated items, as well as talk to NPCs and power up your character. For each level that your main character manages to gain, you'll get 1 skill point that you can spend in one of 4 ways, either allotting it into HP, attack, your weapons ammunition, or spending 2 skill points to up your defense. In playing through the game many times, dying and starting over, I found out if I can get 4 levels in a single area, it's probably best, at least for me and the bullet sponge that I am, to forgo ammunition and spend 1 skill point on health, 1 on attack, and 2 in defense at every single time I can. This may not be super helpful if you're really into ranged attacks, but it is really helpful to have the extra HP in boss fights, and scaling up your defense and attack are going to be imperative for the next levels. Though there are many bosses in each area that will challenge your skills, there's going to be a world boss at the end of every 2 areas. And though their movements and attack patterns are really well telegraphed, that extra HP is going to give you that edge initially on figuring out what their patterns are. But being that Xenon Valkyrie Plus is a game with roguelike elements, when you die, you start over. However, I would like to suggest that it's actually a roguelite and not a roguelike platformer, because there are some things that do carry over to your next playthrough. Those being any Teamerite that you may have found, purchased, or earned through boss fights, as well as any legendary weapons you may have purchased in that initial start screen with that Teamerite. And even though currency can be earned really easily in every single level of the game, Teamerite and keys are actually probably your most valuable forms of currency. Keys can pretty much only be earned by killing a mini-boss in an area and are used to unlock weapons chests. Weapons chests, just like the items in shops, are a random drop of all the items you have available. But if you have used Teamerite to pay for any of the legendary weapons, those are now available as well. In addition, keys and Teamerite both will be required at the end of a boss fight to activate a portal. These portals can zip you from the beginning of the game to right after that boss fight to the next world. However, skipping past areas does mean that you'll be skipping past enemies, which means you'll also be skipping past experience gold and potentially really good item drops. So unless you're just planning on using portals to skip ahead a little bit and try and figure out what the boss's attack patterns are, you probably won't be strong enough to actually defeat it. But restarting the game from the beginning really isn't anything to worry about, because the more you get a handle on your character and their abilities and just how the game is played, the faster each of those areas goes. And if you just happen to unlock a really good weapon and you allot your skill points well, you're going to make it really far in each playthrough. However, Xenon Valkyrie Plus doesn't just host the explicit storyline, but dozens of unlockables. Since its initial release, the developer has put in entire new worlds and dozens of quests. So if you are a god in the roguelike genre, this game's not only going to be a challenge, but it's going to be really exciting when you stumble across one of those new areas. And not only could these new areas and quests open up new bosses, but new and more powerful weapons, as well as alternate game endings. And despite all of this depth in the actual gameplay, the light story, chippy music, and 8 to 16-bit era graphics are incredibly well suited to the game. So if you are into platformers and roguelikes, this is definitely a game that you're going to want to be aware of. But that does actually wrap up the review of Xenon Valkyrie Plus for the Switch. So if you enjoyed the review or found it helpful, feel free to throw me a comment or a like to show your support, and don't forget to click that little bell icon when you subscribe to stay updated with the latest content. There are new and unique indies coming out nearly every day, and they're always going on sale, so there's always going to be something new to find right here. But anyway, this has been Budget Gamer, so as always, thanks for watching.